Good morning, early birds. Boy, there's some darkness here for sure. Hold on. Let me turn on some more lights. I am here this morning to do another remake, and that is on this Susan Watson's book, Global Citizenship. And the reason why I am doing another remake on this is because there was just far too much, as far as I could tell, commentary and not enough of the book. And the book is a very good book. Now, there are a couple things that I wanted to say about this. Number one, I read this book over classrooms 101, 102, and 103. Although I should have gotten through the book if I didn't have so much commentary. I would have gotten through the book in probably one day, which is what we're going to do today. Another comment that I wanted to make is that I really have been vacillating a lot about what my comments are and whether or not those comments are actually constructive. And we all want to make sure that if we're saying something, that what we're saying is actually helping people and not really turning them off so that they're not listening, right? Ugh. And so that is the big thing that I wanted to mention. So, however, there are things that we've always brought to you here in the classroom, that I've always brought to you here in the classroom, that I feel like are important to say for improvement. That's really what we're doing here in the classroom. We're not just teaching you, but we're actually trying to get you to engage in life in a positive way. And I know that if I make a lot of negative comments, then you're not engaging in life in a positive way, number one. But number two, I still want to inspire you to do things that make this planet, this country, this world a better place to live in. And that's always, I found that that's a difficult thing to do. On the one hand, you're being negative. On the other hand, you're trying to inspire. And so I've been reading, as I haven't been on, I've been reading and going through my videos, as I've said. And in doing that, what I've noticed is that there are a lot of places and rooms where we can improve, a lot of areas where we can improve. It's just that one of the areas that we really do need to improve on, or at least I need to improve on, is the delivery of what those improvements need or could or should be. So that's what I'm doing here, is going through this book again and talking about some of the things here that we can do to be better global citizens. And part of that really is to be able to see where we can improve things in positive ways. One of the things that I was reading more recently, as in last night, is I'm gonna go and bring it. So this is 102, 101, 102, and 103 remake. Is this Time Life book. Our Century in Pictures. And so, like I said, one of the things I've been really doing is vacillating on how much information I need to be talking about in the classroom that sets people up for improvement, or do they set them up to be Well, filled with negativity is really what I'm looking at. This is a wonderful book, but it doesn't fail to tell you areas that need improvement, or at least give you some information on, hey, what do you think about a different way of doing things, possibly? And so, it still is so dark in here. And so that really is what I'm trying to do in the remakes, is improve on the areas that give light to, or actually be more positive about the areas that give light to some of the concepts that we can improve on. So just a better delivery is what I'm looking at. All right, so let's go ahead and get going. Here is the book. I don't have the book in my hands anymore. It was another one of those things that just didn't get moved, which is very disappointing. But here it is, Global Citizenship, Being an Active Citizen, and this is by Susan Watson. So let's take a look at it. There's our table of contents. And here we're going to get started. I'm gonna blow that up, so I'll show you the entire page. And I could probably read it like this. A global citizen is a person who has rights and responsibilities. So there you can see in the yellow, what they do is they give you definitions. So let's actually look at the definitions first, and then we'll go and read. So citizen is a person living in a large group of people who they mix with. I know it's a little small for me. Actually, I'm going to go and there we go. That's a little better. Rights are fair claims to things in daily life. Responsibilities are duties that have to be done. Environments are natural and built surroundings. And an action is something that a person does and the way that they do it. And that's actually really what I'm talking about, is my actions, right? How do I do it? How do I bring about ideas for improvement without actually bringing everything down into a place where people just simply don't care or want to listen? A global citizen is a person who has rights and responsibilities, acts in a caring way based on knowledge and understanding, relates to others within their family, friendship groups, community, and country, develops personal values and commitments, develops a sense of their own role in the world. A study of global citizenship will help you understand how people affect the quality of global environments and the well-being of others. Active global citizens do not just sit back and wait for others to do something. They turn their ideas into action. Action can take many forms: volunteering by giving time, help, and ideas freely, talking to your friends, thinking deeply, learning more, taking part in community events. Throughout this book, Elira, Harry, Lynn, and Denzel will tell you their ways of acting as global citizens. We can all care for each other and our environment. So there are the people that they're meeting, that we are meeting. Elira. Hi, I'm Elira. I live in a country town near the sea. My family background is Aboriginal Australian. Harry. Hello, I'm Harry. I live with my family in a suburb of a big modern city of 4 million people. We are global citizens. So there is the next full page right there. And there we meet Lynn and Denzel. I'm Lynn. I migrated to my new country with my parents. We live with my grandparents who came 15 years ago from Malaysia. Hi, I'm Denzel. My mom and I live in a high-rise apartment close to the city center. We are African American. Move that up a little bit. Everyone is a citizen. We are citizens of the local neighborhood, a state, country, or province, a state, county, or province, a country, the wider world. People are citizens because they live together in groups. People mix with each other every day in their neighborhood, at school, in community activities, and at work. People can listen to what is happening around them. They can watch events unfolding on the TV news or read about them in newspapers. They can choose to do nothing about them. However, some people think more deeply about things. They have ideas about the events that are happening around them. They become active citizens by turning their ideas into actions. Active citizens are involved with the things happening around them in their local community and their wider world. Now, that's one of the things that I have done here in the classroom. This is the way that I chose to become more of an active citizen. And sometimes it works out for the better, but sometimes I get so involved in what is going on that it doesn't become, like I said, a positive contribution. So there are ways that I am staying active or being active. It's just that what I want to do is I want to stay or be active in ways that, like I said, are contributing to people who really want to hear and who really want to listen, not being turned off by some of the rhetoric that goes along with trying to almost force people to change or force people to see your opinion. That's not what I want to do. That's something that this book is doing a good job of, is it doesn't force you to see what's going on in their own way. It just presents the ideas. So there's the full picture. There's a couple definitions now for identity: a person's own character, and self-esteem, the opinion that you have of yourself. Your identity. Everybody has an individual identity. Your identity is what makes you who you are. It is the way you think and act. Your identity sets you apart from every other person in the world. It is your personality. Your identity shapes how you behave. And so if your identity is anger, that shapes how you behave. If your identity is disappointment, that shapes how you behave. If your identity is positive, that shapes how you behave. If your identity is loving, that shapes how you behave. Your name tells other people what to call us. As they get to know you, they think about who you are. People connect your name with your personality. People have different identities. Some people have strong personalities. They may be good talkers and involved in lots of activities. Other people are shy and very quiet. Your self-esteem. We all think about others in a particular way. We have self-esteem or personal feelings about ourselves in a particular way. We have self-esteem or personal feelings such as, I'm a good runner and my family is proud of me. I'm happy when I'm helping people. I leave my room in a mess most days. I'm sloppy. These qualities will help you think about your identity and self-esteem. What is my name? What is my personality like? How do I act towards others? How do others see me? What is my self-esteem like? And so in ways that we act out, what that does is it changes our self-esteem. Our self-esteem isn't the same all the time. Sometimes we feel better about ourselves. Sometimes we don't feel so good about ourselves. And what that does is it changes our actions. If we don't feel so good about ourselves, like I didn't feel so good about this, how I read this book and the negative things that I said as I was reading. And so what does that do? It works on your self-esteem and lowers my self-esteem, which changes my behavior. It's like a thermostat. The self-esteem is like a thermostat. And so what we end up doing is then changing hot or cold, depending on how we feel about ourselves. We are all individuals with our own personalities. We think about ourselves in a particular way. We all have our own identity and self-esteem. I like to look at the full page first. Your ideas. Everybody has their own ideas. They are personal opinions. Ideas are formed from the things you know or think you know. Ideas can be influenced by your family and friends, your cultural group, TV programs and movies, the news, the books, newspapers, and magazines you read, what you see around you, listening to older people such as teachers, church leaders, and politicians. Your ideas help you make up your mind or form an opinion about something. This might be something simple, such as where to go for vacation, or it could be harder, like coming up with some ideas to help poor people. Your actions. Having ideas often leads to some sort of action. Some people believe that actions speak louder than words. This means that when you act on your ideas, you are doing something about what you think. You might have the idea that you could give 1 hour each week to helping an older person by keeping them company. It is only when you do this that your ideas turn into action. Action helps actions help shape an individual as a citizen. Citizens' actions affect other people. They can have a good result, but sometimes they can be harmful. People who act on their ideas are sometimes viewed by others as being forceful. However, standing up for what you believe in can be done in a peaceful way. A forceful person can act on their ideas without being violent. Now, I don't think that I was violent. Well, I wasn't, but I was negative. And that negative speech probably makes people not want to be around you or listen to you. So here we see people in your family help shape your ideas. And what was her name again? Elira. Elira says, what can I do? Lately, I've been feeling sorry for myself and a bit lazy, so I've decided to join my local sports club. I'll meet some new friends there and get better at running. I want my mom and dad to be proud of me. Here are some more words, vocabulary words here, so we'll read those first. Adoption, to take someone else's child legally into a new family. Or fostering, to care for someone else's child within a different family. Your family. The first group that an individual belongs to is the family. A family consists of parents and their children, but can also include relatives. Some children do not have a blood tie to their parents because they joined the family through adoption or fostering. From an early age, your family is the most important influence on your identity. You learn ways of thinking and behaving from your family members. This influences how you will act as a citizen as you get older. Different types of family. Through your local area and wider world, there are a range of different family structures. Some of these include the nuclear family, which consists of a mother, father, and their children. The extended family, which is larger than the nuclear family and includes other relatives such as grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Single parent families, where only one parent lives with the children. Blended families, where members of at least two previous family groups live together. A parent with a child marrying another parent with a child is a blended family. The family group influences a person's identity from an early age. So there are two more vocabulary words. Peer group. They are friends and others you mix with of about the same age. And customs are the usual ways of doing things. There in the picture it says friends and school community help shape ideas and actions. Your friends. As well as your family, you belong to a group of friends or a peer group. This group also influences the opinions you form and how you act as a citizen. Friends can be neighbors who you play with. You make friends at school and in after-school groups. Friendships can also extend beyond the neighborhood. More and more young people use the internet to keep in touch with a wide circle of friends. Friendship groups like this help you widen the groups you relate to so that you can start to think and act as a global citizen. Your community. Another important influence on being a citizen is the community. We all participate in a community in one way or another. We have to follow the customs and rules within our community, such as how to relate to older people or how to dispose of your trash. Now, it's interesting because what we're finding is that people here in the United States are relating less and less and less to an entire community, more and more to the internet, but that can actually be very isolating. And I find that there are lots of things about what is going on with me in particular and what I see around that really is isolating people. And what that means is you are failing to share ideas. And so what that does is closes your mind to only your ideas. Now you can read, as we said, there are many things that influence your ideas. Your family and friends, your cultural group, TV programs, but books, magazines, newspapers, what's around you, and listening to older people. But if you're limiting the things that you are reading, for example, to only those things that you agree with, then what ends up happening, again, as I said, is you end up narrowing your ideas. And that's the thing that I fear as well in being in isolation, is that ideas are, even my ideas, are being narrowed. They aren't really considering many of the things that are written here about your identity and how you get your ideas. In the school community, you learn to relate to others in your class, to your teachers, to students in other classes, to some of the parents of your friends, and to other staff members. In your neighborhood community, you learn to relate to the families who live around you and to a range of other people, such as storekeepers, police officers, and community workers. The contact that individuals have with their community helps shape the ideas and actions that make them citizens. There's another vocabulary word, which is nation, a large number of people living in a country under the same government. So, what is your place in your nation? It is important for citizens to know about the history or the past and geography, the place of the nation that they are part of. The history of a nation gives clues about how citizens lived in the past and how society has changed over time. Geography helps locate a place in the world. It provides facts about the country, such as population, climate, government, and how people live. Active citizens are people who can talk to others about their nation in an informed way. National identity. Just like a person, a nation also has an identity. Every nation has its own flag and other emblems that show its national identity. Flags are displayed on occasions where large groups of people gather such as school assemblies, sports and cultural events, and memorial days. Emblems are used on buildings and documents that have national importance, such as government buildings or published laws. Another way that a nation identifies itself is through the national anthem. Citizens show their pride in and loyalty to their country by singing the anthem at public events. The national flag and emblems of 3 nations of the world from left to right, the United States, South Africa, and Fiji. Flags and emblems are part of a nation's identity. So they're the United States, there's South Africa, and this is Fiji. The flag and the emblem. Your place in the world. There are our definitions, so let's go through our definitions. Wealth, the amount of money and resources that a person or country has. Well-being, the situation of being happy, healthy, and comfortable. And diversity, the range of different things. Let's listen to, was it Henry? I think that's what his name was. Let's look back at his name. Harry. His name is Harry. What does Harry have to say? What can I do? I want to know more about the history and geography of my country. I'll do some research in the library and on the internet. I'll also talk to Grandpa. He knows a lot. That's really a good idea because a lot of times our elders know a lot of details and interesting information that you really have a hard time finding in the books. Personal information, what really happened. Your place in the world. Let's look at that global fact. There are about 195 separate nations in the world. Let's see when this was published. (2004). That was the first edition by Smart Apple Media in Minnesota. Uh-oh. happens a lot. There we go. There are some things that people of the world have in common. They share things in nature, such as air, water, oceans, and polar lands. They belong to a group that is part of a nation and the world. Each nation is part of the global family of nations. And we've got global family of nations 195 right there. Many parents want their children to have lives better than their own. They want to live in peace and safety. Most are concerned about the effect they have on the environment. Although people share things in common, the world is also a very complex place made up of different environments, customs and practices, types of government, religions, language, types of families, levels of wealth and well-being of people, like the level of happiness or how much money you have. It is important that many of these differences exist. They are part of the world's diversity or the range of things. But it is also important to help improve the things that are harmful to the environment and to other people, right? So that's why we improve the things around us. But that's also why we improve ourselves as well. Global citizens are aware and active. They can help improve life on Earth by reducing the destruction of the natural environment and working to help all people have a fair and comfortable life. The rights of citizens. Rights are the things that people are entitled to as part of living in a community. Some of the basic rights of citizens are freedom of speech and movement, to be protected from harm, to live comfortably, to elect members of the country's government, to take part in community activities, to own property, to have their own religion or special beliefs, to work and be paid fairly, to be treated equally by the people and laws of the country. Democracies usually give all these rights to their citizens. I didn't take a look at the vocabulary. Let's look at the vocabulary. Freedom, not being controlled by others. Elect, to choose someone for a position by voting. Democracies, countries where the government is freely elected by the people. And exploit, to use selfishly for personal gain. Let's look at the picture there. It says, these people are voting on election day in a democracy. Children have special rights. Children are important because they will take their ideas and actions into the future. Children need care and protection so that they can grow into good citizens. Many countries give young people some extra rights because of their age and inexperience. Some of these children's rights are the right to love, understanding, and a family group in which to live. The right to play freely. The right to go to school until they are about 15 years old. The right to be paid for part-time work. And the right to be protected from adults who want to harm or exploit them. Now, we talked a little bit about that when we've talked about children's rights in our Bookless classroom. And here in our book that I was going through, A Century of Pictures, Our Century in Pictures for young people, what there was a picture that we brought out in our children's rights about child labor. And this was one of the pictures that we had right here. And this is, her name is unknown, as is the age of this young cotton spinner from Newton, South Carolina. What is certain, in the 1900s, 1/8 of the South textile workers were under the age of 12. And most tobacco and cotton field workers were under the age of 10. Industries relying on child labor fended off reforms until 1938, when unemployed Depression adults wanted those jobs. So they didn't do it for the good of the children. They did it for the good of the adults. For Pete's sake, back it off. Responsibilities of citizens. Citizens also have responsibilities. They are duties they need to do as part of being a member of a family, community, or nation. There is a popular saying, you can't have one without the other. This applies to responsibilities of being a citizen. For people to have the rights of citizenship, they must be prepared to accept the responsibilities that go with them. So let's take a look at that a little bit more closely. The right to be able to play and enjoy sports. And the responsibility is to balance the amount of time spent playing and having a good time with other activities, such as going to school and doing jobs around the house. The right is to be able to drink fresh water. The responsibility is to use water wisely and avoid wasteful practices, such as leaving faucets on or watering in the middle of the day when it's very hot. The right is to live in a community and share its benefits. The responsibility is to be loyal to the country in which you live. The right is to be protected from harm. The responsibility is to avoid harming other people. The right is to be treated equally and fairly. The responsibility is to treat others equally and fairly, regardless of their background or beliefs. The right is to be able to walk in and enjoy nature. The responsibility is to take care not to damage plants, animals, and other creatures in the natural environment. Everyone has a responsibility as a citizen to dispose of trash in a way that will not damage the environment. And there is, what was her name again? I wish they would have put the names there again. Lynn. What does Lynn have to say? What can I do? As a citizen, I have the right to own my pet dog. I also have the responsibility of caring for him. I have to feed him, give him a clean, warm place to sleep, and take him for walks. There's our vocabulary words. So values. The ideas and behavior that a group wants its members to follow. Values. Ideals, something to aim for. And then respect, a high opinion of someone or something. Values and active citizenship. Many of our responsibilities are based on the values of the groups in which we live, play, and work. Values tell us what a society regards as good, desirable, fair, and decent. They are the high ideals that many people aim for in their lives. People display their values in different ways. They could be day-to-day situations, such as volunteering to help people less fortunate or less able. They could be bigger events, such as rescuers, disasters, or wars. So those are the day-to-day situations, bigger events, rescues, disasters, or war. Now, one of the things I found is that I've tried to volunteer, and volunteering is not easy. And I'm quite certain that there are lots of places that need volunteers, but in today's age, it takes someone pretty much an application in order to volunteer. And so that makes it very difficult. You can't just go into a hospital and visit people or read to people. And that is really unfortunate, especially as a senior citizen. It would be nice to help other senior citizens by coming into their room and reading like this, for example. Honesty. Honesty is telling the truth and not cheating or stealing. An honest person does not deliberately hide the facts, cheat, or steal. Global citizens are honest with themselves and with others. They value honesty. Compassion. Compassion is an emotion or feeling showing you feel sorry for someone because they are not as happy or fortunate as you is compassion. Compassion helps people think about others and not only themselves. Compassionate people accept others even if their views are different. Respect. When you consider something carefully and value it, you are showing respect. You can show respect towards the laws of the community, a particular person or group, or an idea. Your own self-esteem or self-respect is an important aspect of being able to respect other things. And so when you come out in ways that are more attacking, what that's showing is that you have less respect for yourself. We want to talk about things that are important, our active citizenship in respectful ways, so that people can learn to respect you and your ideas. That's one of the reasons for this whole remake. Young people can show compassion for others by helping them and being their friends. All right, let's take a look. This is a sense of justice, a sense of responsibility, courage, and peaceful solutions. Justice is fairness and equality. Courage is to be able to face and deal with fear, pain, or danger. And conflict is, well, conflict doesn't have to be violent at all. Conflict is a disagreement. We're going to disagree on that definition. Let's take a look at that picture. Young people can show courage and leadership by standing up for the values they believe in. A sense of justice. Treating everyone fairly is the basis of justice. Working toward a fairer world is one of the main purposes of global citizenship. If more people take on the responsibilities of being active global citizens, then the world can become a fairer place for all of the world's people to live in. A sense of responsibility. The values of honesty, compassion, respect, and a sense of justice help people behave responsibly to others and their community. Responsibility is one of the duties of being a good citizen. Courage. It takes personal courage to stand up for ideas and to act on them. Courage helps you do the right thing even when it is not popular. You do not have to be a famous hero to show courage. People can be everyday heroes through their actions and leadership. Peaceful solutions. Some problems are very difficult to solve. This sometimes causes tension and conflict. Active citizens try to solve problems in peaceful ways rather than using force or arguing violently. Active citizens think about issues. So there are our vocabulary words. Issue is a problem or question that needs, or problems or questions that need to be settled. A critical thinker is a person who thinks deeply about issues and different points of view to arrive at their opinion. But we don't want to be opinionated. Being opinionated means that we can only hear or see or deliver or talk about our own opinions. Thinking deeply. Active citizens need to be able to think deeply about issues. Someone who can do this is called a critical thinker. To become an active critical thinker, you could read a range of different books, newspapers, and other print matter. Use the internet to do more research. Watch TV news, current affairs programs, and documentaries. Listen to others. Participate in classroom discussions. How do you practice critical thinking? Critical thinking is a process. It is a series of steps that you go through before you arrive at an opinion. Another thing about this critical thinking that I would say is that you need to be critical of your own thinking. And so one of the things that I didn't do was I didn't look back at my videos. And in not looking back at my videos, I wasn't being critical or critically thinking about the things that I was saying and putting out there on the internet. And for that, I really do regret not taking a closer look at the things I'm saying, being a critical thinker about what I'm producing and putting out there. A checklist for critical thinking. Be curious. Check facts carefully. Be able to give reasons for your decision. Consider the consequences of your decision. Check your own ideas. Write and express your ideas clearly. Ask yourself, were you right? Critical thinking leads to action. Critical thinking helps you arrive at your own opinion. It helps you form ideas about issues. A critical thinker makes choices between different solutions to a problem or question. You can then decide if you want to take action as a result. Media, the ways in which, we're looking at that vocabulary word, the ways in which information is spread. The media influences thinking. Let's look at the top there. Active citizens think about issues. The media is a very powerful tool. Millions of people around the world use different forms of media every day. The media speaks information in a number of ways. TV and radio, newspapers, magazines, and books. So TV and radio speak the information. Newspaper, magazines, and books, we read the information. Advertising, brochures, signs, and billboards, right? And the internet and CD-ROMs. So CD-ROMs would be things that are like kind of documentaries, so they give you a really in-depth look on CDs. We don't use those so much anymore. The way things are presented in the media can affect the way people think about an issue, a person, a place, or an event. Sometimes the news on TV and in the paper only gives a troubled view of the world. There could be trouble in these places, but there are also many good and happy things happening in them. When travel brochures show places looking beautiful to attract tourists, they are trying to influence people's thinking in another way. So those are those advertising brochures. A critical thinker collects a range of information. Then they think deeply about the different viewpoints before arriving at their own opinion. And there's an example of travel brochure. Travel brochures show parts of the Philippines as a beautiful place that tourists would like to visit. This contrasts with the picture of poverty that may be seen on news reports. Which view is correct? Then we have Denzel. What can he do? I'm going to start to think more deeply about things. Before I make my mind up about an issue, I'm going to read about it and watch different TV news programs. I'll discuss it with my mom too. She's real smart. Citizens in the global system. Our vocabulary there. Natural environment, the surroundings that are part of nature. Built environment, the surroundings that have been made or built by people. And culture, the beliefs, values, and customs of a particular group of people. Hold on, I just want to shut this door here. And then we've got that picture down there. Let's look at that picture. The global system is a complex web of forces happening at the same time. The environment, your heritage, your connections, and society and culture. What is the global system? The global system is made up of many different things happening at the same time. They mix with one another. They affect each other. We are all part of this global system, which is made up of the environment. Many different environments cover the globe. They can be part of the natural environment or the built environment. Natural environments include living things, landforms, soil, air, and water. Built environments include roads, towns, cities, farms, dams, factories, and monuments. Society and culture. Societies are people living together in groups. They develop a culture or a way of life that suits them. Culture is passed down from generation to generation. The globe contains many different societies and cultures. Heritage. Many parts of a culture and the natural environment survive over a long time. They become part of the world's heritage. Heritage is passed down through history to the next generation. Connecting links. The globe is a dynamic place where links connect people every day. We can easily communicate from country to country by phone or internet. We can see on TV what is happening around the world. We can buy products from different countries. Our vocabulary words, global commons, the things that all people on earth share, and that are not owned by anyone. Human rights, the basic claims that all people have to be fair, safe, and the basic claims that all people have to be fair, safe, and comfortable lives. All right, I read that wrong again. The basic claims that all people have to fair, safe, and comfortable lives. Our global commons. To have something in common with someone means that you share something with them. You might share things like a hobby, a sporting interest, being crazy about the same pop star, or caring about nature. As global citizens, we all have some things in common. These are global commons. Air is a global common because it surrounds Earth. We all breathe it, and it cannot be owned. Water is a global common because most places on Earth have rain and rivers that people can share to provide fresh water for drinking, cooking, and personal hygiene. Oceans cover nearly 70% of the Earth's surface. They are not owned by any country and can be shared. Polar lands are a global common in a similar way to oceans. Human rights are a global common because all people share the claim to have a good life. All people have the right to share in their world's global commons. So the polar lands would be the North and South Pole. Just getting that. Global issues for global citizens. What is a global issue? A global issue is a problem or question that many of the world's citizens are concerned about. There are many global issues facing the world today in both the natural and human environment. There's a global fact. Tigers are killed for products that can be sold illegally. Tiger bones are valued as medicine, and their skins are used as trophies. Global environments. Our surroundings are where people, plants, animals, and other creatures live. Global citizens protect what we have and limit the amount of damage to our environments. Human rights. All humans have the right to a fair, safe, and comfortable life. Global citizens try to understand what human rights are so that they can protect them. Cultural differences. There are many different societies and cultures in the world. Global citizens learn to live with one another by showing respect for these differences. Quality of life. Many people in the world do not have the same opportunities as others because of poverty. Global citizens try to improve the quality of these people's lives. Sustainable living. All people use the world's natural resources. Global citizens develop everyday living practices that help limit the effect that people have on the earth. And part of that is how much do you consume as well, right? Because how much you consume means that you're throwing away paper, right? If we eat a lot of packaged food, we're throwing away that paper. If we leave our water faucet running, for example, we're using up that water to be less sustainable for other people, right? If we are driving giant vehicles that use lots of gas, We're putting that pollution very often into the environment, especially if we drive a lot. And especially those larger vehicles are using more of that gas. So then we are consuming a lot more than we need, which means other people in poverty may not be able to enjoy the same things we enjoy. World Heritage. Global citizens want to protect important natural and built features so that they can last for future generations. I wonder what that is. Global connections. The countries and peoples of the world are now linked very closely through computers, communications, equipment, business, and international aid organizations. Global fact. There is more than 330,690 tons, 300 T, that's what that says, of garbage buried under the ice at scientific bases in Antarctica. It will take at least 10 years to clean this up. There's our vocabulary words. Ecosystems. The relationships between a group of living things in their environment. Fragile, easily damaged or destroyed. And, what is that word? It is pristine, totally unspoiled by humans. Protecting global environments. The natural environment is made up of different ecosystems. Each ecosystem has features that are set apart from others. 4 of the world's main ecosystems are tropical rainforests, mountain coasts, and polar lands. Mountains, coasts, and polar lands. Each has issues related to it. So the ecosystem of tropical rainforests, the issue of concern. Rainforest trees help produce the oxygen in the air we breathe. Rainforest areas are being logged for timber and cleared for human settlement. Mountain areas. Most mountain plants are rare and fragile. More and more people are visiting mountain areas as tourists and tramping over plants. Seems like it should be trampling, but coasts. Many people enjoy beautiful coastal scenery. There are more and more high-rise apartments being built too close to the sea, blocking views and changing the nature of the shoreline. Polar lands. The ice regions of Antarctica and the Arctics are the last pristine environments left in the world. Scientific exploration and tourism are increasing and spoiling these polar lands. The picture there says, scientific research is important, but it has resulted in a lot of waste being dumped in Antarctica. That's incredible. What can Denzel do? I'm going to join some of the other kids in my neighborhood to help clean up the local stream on World Environment Day on June 5th. Living sustainably. Let's look at the words first. All right, let's look at our vocabulary words first. Natural resources are things that occur naturally, which humans can use. Ecologically sustainable development. living in a way that reduces human impact on the earth and helps preserve resources for the future. Let's look at those pictures. Growing organic vegetables and fruit in a community garden plot or in a backyard is a sustainable living practice. Coal is a natural resource used to make electricity. This resource will run out because people are using more electricity every day. Living sustainably. Everyday living causes pressures on the Earth's natural resources. People use resources to feed and clothe themselves, to build houses and workplaces, to generate power, and to make other things. However, we cannot keep using resources at the rate we are today. Resources will run out if we do. To help prevent this, we can use fewer resources in our everyday lives, put back or renew some of the resources through recycling, for example, or reusing. Avoid spoiling natural resources. If we practice these habits, we live in a more sustainable way than we do now. The world can work towards ecologically sustainable development. What does Lynn have to say? What can I do? There is a piece of city land not being used for anything in my neighborhood. Some friends and I are putting together a petition to ask the city government if we can use it as a community garden plot. Wow. Wow. That is really something. Respecting others. Let's look at our vocabulary words. Racial, which is belonging to a group of people with the same beginnings and physical features. And then ethnicity is belonging to the same race. Respecting others. The world's people come from about 195 different countries and places within these countries. People can be different from each other because of their racial origins, also known as ethnicity, because of their religious beliefs, their languages, their family structures, their ability, like we said, traditional families, blended families, right? Ability levels, appearances, cultural traditions, systems of government, and levels of wealth. Diversity is important. The world's people share the same planet. They have many things in common, but there are also differences between them. If people are to get along together, it is important to value and respect others. The differences between people give the world a rich diversity of life. Diversity is essential in helping the world be a fairer and better place for all to live. And that picture says, learning to respect people despite their differences is an important global issue. What does Harry have to say? There are 10 different ethnic groups at my school. I'm going to ask my teacher if 1 or 2 students from each group can talk at an assembly. It would be good to hear about their customs, beliefs, and families. Maybe they don't want to talk, Harry. Maybe you ask them one-on-one. Let's look at our vocabulary word. World heritage, significant features in the natural and cultural environments that need protecting. Valuing our world's heritage. One thing most people have in common is that they value something from their past. This might be a favorite toy from their childhood, a special photo, a family treasure handed down from generation to generation, a story that tells of ancient times, or a traditional song. In the same way, planet Earth contains things of value that are handed down from generation to generation. These could be part of the natural environment or something of cultural value. They are part of our heritage. People often keep a family treasure in a safe place and care for it. We can care for our world heritage in a similar way. Heritage features that are protected and cared for become a gift from the past to the people of the future. The giant waterfall area at Victoria Falls between Zambia and Zimbabwe, Africa, is part of the world's natural heritage. What does that say? Oh, these toss are made of wood, clay, and ochre. They are connected to a particular Australian Aboriginal site and are part of Australia's cultural heritage. I want to show you something. This is Alaria. Is that what her name was? Elira. What does she have to say about what she can do? The heritage of my people in Australia stretches back more than 60,000 years. I value my cultural heritage. I'd like to share it with other kids. I'll start a web page to connect to lots of kids and share my heritage. Not so easy to do. Hold on, I want to show you something. So what did they call this? They called it cultural toss? Is that what they called it? No, toas. These toas are made of wood, clay, and ochre. This is, if I'm saying that right, a boomerang that my husband got from Australia. So look here, you can see wood burned in the wood. There is a kangaroo. Some natural life, some symbols. And it says Aboriginal Joe Timbery from Sydney, Australia. So we have our own Teos. Understanding human rights. Let's look at the global fact. More than 1 billion people in the world do not have the shelter and comfort of a good home. Most of us know what our rights are in the society we live in. However, we also need to think about whether the rights we have are shared by all people in the world. In the world's democracies, human rights are based on freedom, a level of wealth that buys basic comforts. So even though we have a democracy here in the United States, we don't all have the same kinds of basically rights, because that is dependent on how much wealth you have. And protection from harm and conflict. Where any of these are missing, human rights are at risk. Human rights at risk in the world. There are many cases in the world where people are not treated fairly. Their human rights are at risk in these situations. Children who live in poor countries are often forced to work from an early age for very little money. Most children in other countries are going to school and getting an education. Young people who live in war-torn countries are often left without parents and homes. They are forced to run away to look for a better place to live, but are often not welcome in new places. People living in countries that do not allow freedom of speech cannot discuss their opinions openly. Some countries do not allow people to vote to elect the members of their government. These young people's human rights have been spoiled by war. They have been left homeless. Improving the quality of life, a global fact. 1 out of every 4 people in the world has a very poor standard of living. What's standard of living? Right here, we're looking at the vocabulary word. Everyday living conditions in a community. And sanitation, clean and safe removal of human and household waste by water and drains. Many people need help to improve their quality of life. The quality of life is the day-to-day living conditions or the standard of living. These things are part of people's standard of living. Do people have a sufficient amount of nutritious food? Is there enough clean water? Do people have comfortable homes to live in? Do they have TV, radio, newspapers, a phone, and a computer? Is there proper sanitation and garbage collection in the local area? Is everyone under the age of 15 able to attend school? Do the children in a community have the time and places to play and relax? And so even here in the United States, we can see that some of that is in jeopardy. We're talking about taking away funding for education. What does that mean for children then who are under the age of 15? Are they able to attend school? And even now we can get classes like this on the internet. That doesn't mean we don't need a classroom where people can interact, learn about other cultures, expand their ideas, learn to respect other people's ideas, learn to have fun and cooperate and be compassionate, right? And play games. So maybe those are the things that we do for our children for a few hours in the classroom every single day while we learn about things maybe on the internet, for example. So these things are in jeopardy when we have our newspapers and our TV and our internet always go towards the same kinds of misinformation. Then we do not have a quality standard of living, even here in the United States. When people are getting dirty water and forced to drink that dirty water, even here in the United States, then we do not have the quality standard of living that most people believe that we do have here in the United States? Do the children in the community have the time and places to play and relax? Oh, I already read that. If we look around, we can sometimes find people within our own community whose quality of life is lower than normal. Street kids and homeless old people are examples. Even within wealthy countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia, there are people whose quality of life needs to be improved. So here, this picture here. This child is not receiving enough nutritious food and has a poor quality of life. Even in wealthy countries such as the United States, there are people whose lives could be better. Groups such as the Salvation Army provide some help. But we are finding more and more that we have more and more homeless people here in the United States, and fewer organizations and volunteers that help them. Making global connections. Globalization. There's our vocabulary word. Globalization. The effect of making the world smaller through global connections. Our globe is becoming a smaller place. Today, there are many different ways people are linked together across the world. This is known as globalization. And so when we're saying that our world is a smaller place, it means that over there, people who live over there in South Africa or Zimbabwe or even Australia, we didn't know anything about them. They were far away. It made our planet seem large because they were so far away. But now it seems smaller. They seem closer to us because we can connect with them. Some people think about globalization in terms of large fast food, entertainment, and motor vehicle companies. These global connections are part of the business world. There are also other ways that people can make global connections. The use of computers and the internet has helped make these global connections even faster. Sister schools connect students globally. And so this is another way that we would use our classroom to develop global connections with sister schools. There is an international movement of sister schools where a school in one country or state has close links with at least one other school in another region. These close links help students develop a deeper understanding of another culture and language. The Sister Schools program is a way to explore differences. Students also discover what similarities exist between their lives. Now, one of the things about sister schools is that even though there were schools that had them, a lot of times they didn't take full advantage of them. And what I mean by that is that they weren't connecting very often. So if you have a sister school, it would be a good idea to try and make sure that that school is, those two schools or more than two schools are connecting on a weekly or at the very least a monthly basis, right? Exchange students make global connections. Students can also connect to different parts of the world through exchange programs. These allow students from one country to go and live in another country for several months or more. The students live with a family, go to school, and become part of their everyday culture, of the everyday culture of that country. Many take part in activities such as working in the fields close to the home or their adopted family. Stuart Collins worked in the fields of the village he lived in as an exchange student in northern Thailand. Which one's Stuart? Sister cities are connected globally. Local communities can communicate to communities in a similar way to sister schools. They become sister cities. The government officials of two communities make an agreement to connect. The sister city partnership means that the two communities have a friendly link. They exchange information. Sister city programs involve the three main parts of a community, which are local government, businesses, and a wide variety of citizens. Let's read the vocabulary word there. Foreign aid, help from one country to another by giving money or assistance. A global fact, it is expected that by 2010, more than 900 million people will be tourists every year. Tourism connects people globally. One of the world's major activities is tourism. People all over the world travel as tourists for three main reasons: to visit relatives, for recreation and interest, or for business. When people become tourists, they travel outside their own community. They make links with different ways of living in the places they visit. Aid connects people globally. Rich countries help poorer countries through foreign aid programs. Sometimes foreign aid is given in the form of money from one government to another. Other programs give assistance in the form of workers or education to help improve the living conditions. In times of disaster, the aid is in the form of emergency assistance, such as food and medical supplies. Foreign aid from richer countries to poorer ones is a global connection. World Vision is an organization that sends helpers to countries that need foreign aid. So here you can see a doctor who can go to foreign countries and help those people who are in need. Global citizens make a difference. Being active citizens, we are all citizens of the world. Some of us are more active than others. We become active citizens when we put our ideas into action. That's one of the things that I'm doing with the classroom, putting my ideas of trying to connect and hopefully putting something good out there for education with other people. There are a lot of other things I was hoping to do with this as well, but they haven't really quite all come to fruition. Not at all. We become active citizens when we put our ideas into action. Some people think that action means protesting or doing something violent, but action can take many forms and can always be peaceful, even in a protest march. These are some actions that can help make a difference. Keep informed about events and tell others. Think deeply about issues. Volunteer and take part in community activities. Help out wherever you can. Stand up for others. Join groups that care about the environment and people. Use less and make less waste in your day-to-day life. Reuse and recycle. Active global citizens can make a difference in the quality of global environments and the well-being of people. Remember, an idea is only an idea until someone puts it into action. Harry asks, what can we do? Global citizens discuss global issues to try to find ways of solving them. There is hope for the planet if global citizens act together. And so there is our glossary of terms. And our index. And that is the end of our Susan Watson book, Global Citizenship, Being Active Citizens. Okay, this is Dr. Annette Feravich. I am so glad. Actually, I've been debating a lot about getting online mostly because I really want to and need to be sure that when I'm getting online, that what I'm doing is a positive influence and helping other people. I know. And so that's the reason for this remake, is because I feel like Susan Watson's book didn't speak for itself. And instead, I was speaking more in terms of Dr. Annette Feravich that weren't positive, right? That weren't necessarily peaceful or respectful or compassionate. And really, Susan Watson's work was all of those things. She was able to put a light on some of the problems that are going around the globe, that are going on around the globe in a peaceful and respectful way. So those are the kinds of global citizens that I'm hoping to really reconnect with, or to highlight as admirable ways, admirable things to do, positive and peaceful and compassionate actions that really need to take place here in the classroom and everywhere in order to make our minds, our bodies, and our spirits healthier. That's what we try and do here. We, as in me, try and do here on a more regular basis in the classroom. Thanks so much for joining me. It is a remake of day 101, 102, 103 of the Early Bird Classroom, Global Citizenship, Being Active Citizens. Thanks so much for joining me.